We are MasterDaters Podcast, where we attempt to master the art of modern dating, which is very tough, and we've been at it for 2 years now.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride, and I think we've learned a lot about ourselves and about dating. We are not psychologists or specialists in this. We're just two girls trying to find our happily ever after and maybe learn some things along the way.
Yeah.
This episode is covering a term called limerence. We do feel the need to just express we are here for educational purposes and to spread awareness about this. And if at any point this episode makes you feel some type of way, please take care of yourself.
Yes, or if you recognize this in yourself, because our history with it is that we were discussing the modern woes of dating, and Missy has felt that she has experienced limerence in her life.
Or I think that throughout us kind of researching and trying to understand dating, I've had a lot of self-realizations, and I think that limerence is something that resonated with me. And now that I'm aware, something that we talk about is giving a name to it kind of helps combat it and make it go away. So we're going to go into all the things about limerence.
Yeah, so let's start with what it is. Limerence is an intense, involuntary state of romantic obsession. It's a predisposition to get hooked on a person as a source of emotional regulation and dopamine. And does that align with your definition of it?
That absolutely aligns with it. And I think that from my dating history, a lot of my issues root back from like my childhood and my emotional needs not being met, but it has graduated into my adult dating life where I think I am attracted to emotionally unavailable people where they aren't able to reciprocate and get my needs met. And there's a lot of room for interpretation for your brain, especially if you are sensitive to limerence.
And when did you first hear this term?
I heard this term maybe like a month and a half ago. It initially surfaced for me in a TikTok, which I know some people are hit or miss with TikTok, but it is not a tool for therapy. But I think if you are on a journey of self-discovery like I am, coming across videos like that kind of clicked for me. And I was like, maybe this is one of my dating disconnects. Like maybe I need to find someone who matches my energy instead of me trying to demonstrate that I'm worthy of their love, even if they're not in a position to give it. But I think that there's a point of discernment that we all need to learn. Like whether you think you're deep into having an issue with limerence or just have a crush on someone, if they're not passing the ball back or like matching your energy and giving as much as you're putting forward, that's a line we need to draw, or like a personal boundary, obviously. And I can share an amazing plot twist with limerence at the end of our episode. I think we should gear back to your PowerPoint, because like I don't know if my opinion can speak for all people experiencing this, but this is like my interpretation and like my truth about it and how it's helped me.
Yes. Okay, some famous examples of limerence. The Great Gatsby, obviously, notably. With
I think that's
Daisy.
one of the best examples.
Yes, exactly.
Because the story's not even about him and Daisy like actually getting together. It's the fantasy.
And when they did, it ended.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, tragically.
Yes.
You've had a long time. It's 100 years. Plus
but they talk about in The Great Gatsby, like, the green light does not equal, like, limerence is a hope and not a reality.
I would say, with The Great Gatsby example, there's this one guy that I've held a candle for ever since we had a brief...
Oh, what? I didn't know.
A brief little romance in Atlanta, and then he left and moved away. So I kind of feel like Great Gatsby in this case scenario. So I guess I do hold limerence for one person, but I don't think about it too much. It's just sometimes when we're talking about me dating others, I'm like, what about him?
I think
he's
him
perfect
having
and
a
he's gone.
reason to move away, like that rationalized it. I think if he just disappeared and you were still like obsessing over like the mystery of...
I'm not obsessing over him. I just know it would have been perfect. Well, I limerized that it would have been perfect if he stayed.
Once again,
so
the plot twist is crazy, girl.
Well, I think it's the story. I think it's the story in us all that we all have seen these rom-coms and we're like, I don't know him really that well, but I'm filling in the blanks of what I think everything else would have been about him. But you don't know these people. And so it's not worth your time to expend mental effort imagining what could have been with somebody who doesn't live anywhere near you anymore.
Yes. Well, I think a lot of this is, or from my experience, a lot of it is grounded in the potential and like... I was really going somewhere with this and then I forgot. So you're talking about...
Bleep.
No, I'm going to cut this out.
Yes. Okay. The next example...
My favorite.
...is a topical one. that Missy convinced me to watch all 3 seasons of
It took
over the
a
past
lot.
2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we didn't get snowed in, I don't think you
Yes.
would have actually watched it. But Tell Me Lies on Hulu.
Yes, we think, spoiler alert, skip 2 minutes ahead if you have not been caught up. But basically, there is this girl, Lucy, who is very much limerizing over a man named Steven, who is an asshole. Also not that cute, sorry. Sorry,
no.
not sorry.
Jackson
I don't.
White, you were hot in person, but
Sure.
the
Well, yeah,
not-
your personality
not
in the
so
show
cute.
just ruins it for me. That I just don't understand why she keeps going after him. But she's
Well,
clearly,
we talk
clearly.
about this though, where
Yes.
it's a guy who's like she wasn't even interested in him in the beginning, and now she's like obsessed. And I think this is a great nuanced view on how a relationship becomes unhealthy and then how it becomes abusive.
Mhm.
And I think that there's a very like raw representation of that, and I think it's becoming so popular because we all are discovering we have our own Stephen DeMarco.
Yes.
And that's why we can relate, because we've been Lucy, and it's so hard to break free from that.
Well, my theory on why she's so limered for him is she's stigmatized. Like, it's just, I think this is sex-driven limerence, of that she's had such good sex with him that's why.
I disagree.
Okay. Because
So-
where have they really connected in the show outside of sex?
So I can only say that from my own personal experience, I think my limerence stems from having emotionally unavailable parents and not a very steady home life. And I think that Lucy, with like the trauma of her dad dying, well, it's not really a spoiler
early on.
alert. We all know her dad's dead when it starts, but the trauma of her dad dying and her losing respect for her mom and like not really having a stable support system. So I think that she is putting so much weight in finding a romantic partner because she thinks that that's going to meet all of her needs. She thinks her problems are going to go away if Stephen will just accept her and not have all these, like, not hang things over her head. You know, we're all flawed people. But I think that she's looking for somebody to kind of take the alpha in her life because she doesn't really have direction and she doesn't really have structure from her family. I hope I'm not like spoiling anything, but I think
Still, jump ahead to
I think, and we talk about with limerence how like sometimes if it is reoccurring in your life with different connections and relationships, it may be a deep-seated attachment issue from your childhood. And that's something I was able to put a spotlight on because I was like, my parents didn't meet my needs, and I put all this fantasy in the man I was going to marry was never going to treat me that way and whatever. So I think it kind of warps your expectations on a partner, and I think that's why she's staying so long in all of this, because I think she's going to imagine he's going to have an epiphany where he changes and stops treating her like shit, and they can be happy together. She is waiting for them to be happy together because they have never been.
I mean, I think there's a scene where she basically says that they're both bad people.
Yeah.
And that's why she thinks they're perfect for each other. And I think that's kind of like
still love each other anyway.
Yeah, like
no
a
matter
kindred
what.
spirits kind of thing of like, who else is going to love me? He's flawed like me, so I must put all my eggs in this basket of making it work with him.
So this is a low sense of self-worth and a low sense of self-esteem. And I think that like if you are struggling with like your family, your home life like that, and then it's just going to seep into your adulthood.
Or if you feel bad about yourself from actions you've made, because like I think that's what Lucy's stems from, because she's beautiful and had like a mostly normal upbringing until her father, lost her father. But I think that some people might self-sabotage of thinking that they only deserve somebody of that, goodness level that they perceive. So she thinks that she matches up with Steven for that.
Yeah,
But
I think she's seeking validation from others rather than herself.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is like one of the biggest pitfalls of limerence, because you're literally waiting for validation from another person. And it's like, for us, we keep talking about dopamine and how like it's the anticipation. That's when the chemical's released. But when you actually get the reward, sometimes you don't want it anymore. And I think that's also like the trials and tribulations of going through limerence, because you put so much emphasis on the anticipation of getting what you want, and then when you do, sometimes you don't.
Another example of limerence, famous limerence, is Joe in You.
Oh my god, Penn Badgley.
Yes, because he's so limered out that he's killing people.
So this is like a very dark and extreme version of limerence. And I think Tell Me Lies is also kind of like teetering down that same path where like if you can't understand yourself and keep yourself in check, limerence is for men and women. it can get very dangerous.
Yeah, stalking. I
Stalking.
mean, Joe does
Yeah.
that quite a lot, and
A
more
part
so.
of me often wonders too, like, I hear this from men a lot when they're going through a breakup saying, like, oh, well, she was crazy. It's like, did you ever think that maybe you didn't close out of the relationship properly and this person is suffering from limerence and, like, being pushed to those lengths?
Well, I think that has to do with the whole nuance of phones being around now in modern relationships. If that back in the day, you know, you would have to break up with somebody in person because they would not know otherwise. Now, because people have phones, they can ghost you where you just stop answering their text messages, and that's supposed to be the signal that they've broken up with you. And it's so easy because it's just inaction. They're not doing anything. So I think there is a lot of nuance to that now where men might not be as like vindictive with it as we think. It's literally just they're like, oh, maybe I'll reply later. And then they honestly forget or they move on. And then they're like, too much time has passed. I'm just going to keep not answering. So,
and sometimes the lack of attention isn't even like deliberate. People are living their lives and they're busy.
Men are shitty communicators sometimes. Like, it's just that's already a
and I think we are trying to find ways to help them be better communicators because that is like a pitfall of a lot of the relationship disconnects that we're finding.
So we wanted to say that it's nuanced. Like everything in this modern world of dating, everything is nuanced. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if you're having these fantasies about how it could work out with a partner. But when, if your brain keeps going there when you're in like a moment of freedom by yourself and you're thinking about this person constantly, maybe pause to take some self-reflection of, is this person putting in the same effort that I'm putting in?
Yeah, is this person sitting there obsessing about me and absolutely like losing their mind if they don't hear back from you?
Yeah.
And they most of the time they don't. And I've had girlfriends even tell me, like guys that I've dated where, maybe they didn't communicate with me or like I've ran into them out when I hit them up and they didn't answer back. And like my friends are like, it's crazy how upset or like bent out of shape you're getting about someone who like clearly doesn't like care or doesn't feel the same way. And like some of that is on me and I'll take responsibility. And I've learned a lot, like as an adult, this really isn't that much of an issue. But I think like in your formative years, like college and your 20s, like this is something that can get very damaging if you can't reel yourself in.
Well, because then you're not freeing yourself up for the people that would give you effort. So it's that if you're stuck harping on this guy that isn't giving you the time of day and you keep moving heaven and earth to like make yourself free to like when he chooses to hang out with you, you're not picking people who are valuing your time on an equal level. And so really how I view Limerence is getting better at judging people's effort levels and if they're deserving of your effort and your mental focus that you're having on them.
Yes. And as I was saying, like the healthy relationships I've had where there's no guessing, like what this should really come down to is if you have a good connection, it should be we feel this way or we mutually feel this. Like I know how he feels, he knows how I feel, not does he like me. If we're stuck on the does he like me and how much attention he's giving me validates that, we are going down a trail of limerence and we need to stop ourselves.
I think this is a very good segue for two of the clips that I've prepared from a lady that talks about this. Her name is Unfawning with Ada, and she talks about low effort men, and it really spoke to me.
So here is the most common, the most confusing, and the most dangerous red flag of them all. He doesn't plan the dates. He says, well, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? He might even expect you to pay half or all of the bill. Here's how it plays out in marriage. The entire load of your shared life is on your shoulders alone. And at first it feels harmless. You're like, I don't mind picking the restaurant. I don't mind paying my half. But this is not about equality or money. A man with very little money can still create romance, sandwiches and a sunset, or a walk to a playlist he made for you because you mentioned that you liked movie soundtracks. Effort is a love language and it's free. What this red flag reveals is a low effort man. A man who has never cultivated the masculine qualities of initiation, leadership, and ownership. This is a man who wants life to be as easy as possible and assumes getting a woman should be easy too, and is actively looking for a woman who will add to his ease. Fast forward, you've got a mortgage and a job, of course, because you have to pay your half, and a baby, and you haven't slept in weeks, and all you want is a shower. You ask him to take the kids for 20 minutes, and instead of stepping up, he riddles you with questions the whole time and makes everything so complicated that you don't really even get your shower. a punishment for disrupting his ease because he cannot tolerate discomfort and has zero initiation capacity. He's just never built the muscles. Here's the trickiest part. These men often feel so fun, so laid back and easygoing and non-judgmental, almost like a child. Your nurturing instinct kicks in and you mistake it for love. This does not work in marriage. Don't even get me started on the sex. No woman feels desire for a man she has to mother, period. But a grown, grounded man, he sees you tired and says, babe, I've got the kids, take a shower, I'll be back with coffee. You don't even have to ask. That's initiation. That's leadership, and that is ownership. That is a man who says, this is my woman and my family, and it is my job to protect them and make sure that they have everything they need. And qualities like that compound like interest in every aspect of your life so that you end up the wealthy wife and not the tired mommy.
All right.
Shout out to Ada.
Shout out to Ada, because that was it reminds you that yes, we're living in this world that is about ambiguous dating. And so I don't really necessarily think that these men are intentionally doing this. I think that we've all made it clear that dating is ambiguous. It's very coy and casual. So they don't need to put that much effort in. I think some men hearing this actually might resonate with them of like being a masculine man, being a man and like being proud in your identity of it is stepping up and providing and helping and like being there as a strong figure to make sure your woman and your family is okay. Mm-hmm. So I hope that hearing this to men, please let us know in the comments if this upset you, but I think it's kind of just, taking a bird's eye view of, no, it shouldn't all be on the woman to put forth all the effort. It should be a partnership where you're working together. And is this person a good partner to you? That's what we need to be looking for, somebody who matches your effort and would be a good partner.
This is our invitation as the MasterDaters Podcast. Men, we would love to help you understand how to step into this role and be an emotionally aware partner. And you may be surprised how far you go with that. Yeah. Like you may see a lot more success if you like live in the present and show up.
For me, how I view it is it's more effort of them actually trying to connect you and be curious about you and get to know you rather than just going through the motions so that they can sleep with you or going through the motions so they can take you on dates and have you on their arm. Like, are you actually trying to get to know me? Are you actually trying to be a good partner to me? Yes. And I don't see that in a lot of the guys that I've dated.
And I've seen a lot of really helpful examples, like what Ada's video is really talking about is like, do you have a partner that brings ease and like gives you peace? Or is this something that's like a constant back and forth you're like swimming upstream with?
Yes, I think the cure to limerence is matching efforts. And so with that long tangent, we will get back to
specifically.
So some advice to help you get out of limerence if you are experiencing it.
I have a lot that I can add to here. I think that when you're like, going back to that exercise we were talking about, like writing things down and not filling in the blanks, I think that you can take a step back and identify like what need isn't being met. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of the times if you're experiencing limerence and the person of interest, we'll say, if the person of interest is not giving you the attention and the validation and like what you need, what I suggest is that you really immerse yourself in like community and your friends. So I think that like surrounding yourself and deepening your other relationships and friendships may make you feel a little bit less like affected by that person's neglect, if that makes sense. Another thing I'll say is if you're sitting there and you're ruminating and you're in that mind loop, the best thing you can do is move your body around. So like something that helped me when I was going through my breakup and I was in my apartment isolated for a month, I bought a walking pad. So like I would be Netflix and watching TV or doing my work, but I would at least be like walking and moving my body. And I would like walk myself so hard that I would like make myself go to sleep. Because that's a whole other thing. When you're unresolved, you're like in survival mode and you can't sleep.
You're a little hamster.
So getting a walking pad was really helpful. I mean, going out and walking or going to the gym is going to help. But like another thing that really helped me was learning line dancing. So instead of like sitting and obsessing over the person, I was like putting my focus into learning something new and like feeling good about my accomplishment of that. So like that was really helpful. I took up like crafting, knitting, and bedazzling. Basically, if you can keep your hands busy and not scroll on your phone, because like your access to seeing that person on social media, like living their life, is just going to like throw salt on the wound. So you have to find ways to not be like living virtually if you're not living your real life.
Mm-hmm.
So those are things that helped. Ultimately, I'm going to say, like, I wish I had talked to a professional about it, because I think I would have been able to navigate my way back to like normalcy a lot quicker. And I think I would have been able to put down holding the candle for someone for so long. Because I think the worst thing is if you build a boundary and someone doesn't respect that, and then you try to pull the boundary away in order to like preserve the relationship and save them, like that betrayal is something that's like, especially when the relationship doesn't work after, it's very hard to live with. And ultimately, I think having like help to get yourself out of that situation and to like, I don't know, get back on track with like what serves you, will save you a lot of time. I just think that like limerence never really goes away. You kind of choose to move on and move forward. But it's wild like how somebody can still stay in your head for a long time. That was very scrambled. Sorry.
No. What I gleaned from that
make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
What I gleaned from that is that you were saying that you wish that you had like gone to therapy to like better yourself for it.
Issue.
But I think the best scrappy thing you can do if that you can't afford a therapist is first recognize it. Recognize that there's a problem. Recognize there's something going on. And then seek help for it. And that could be with a therapist. That could be looking it up on YouTube and finding some videos on it, like us here talking about this.
I mean, I wish that during my breakup of scrolling, I had learned about limerence over getting like endless tarot card readings. That's another thing. If you are on TikTok and going through a breakup, the tarot readers are going to be flooding your DMs. And guess what? He doesn't come back. He doesn't have an epiphany. Like, you have a 3 of Cups because your man's fucking someone else. Anyway, it's,
Well, I think you can find, like, again, the best course of action would be to go actually see a therapist. But I will say this with a grain of salt that I've heard a lot recently from real therapists is that you're not supposed to be in therapy every single day your whole life. It's supposed to be there to help you work through something. Regular check-ins from, then on out of like maybe once a year, every 6 months. Use them as long as you still feel it. But when you're stuck in rumination of talking about your problems every week with the therapist and not actually moving on from it because you're constantly ruminating it, that's also an issue of like...
It's dangerous if you experience limerence and you're with somebody who's not offering you stability and clarity. You really need to use your discernment and get out.
Get out. GTFO.
Get out. Like, it's better to be alone and to build your own life and to be happy than to like spend your whole life demonstrating that you're worthy of someone's love. Because that's not healthy.
It's not.
And this is why I'm still single. So
we're working on it though. We're actively recognizing the things that haven't worked for us in dating, and we're trying to figure out from a bird's eye view what those are and what we can do to make it better for us and for others.
And I hope like this episode, I'm sorry, you probably have learned a lot more about me than Marley in this episode, and like us being vulnerable is difficult, but I hope that it can be like a cautionary tale and spread awareness for other people who are like having struggles in their relationships, because relationships are going to get easier the more you understand yourself. And if you can identify when an issue of yours is being activated or if you're being triggered by something, there's so much power in understanding yourself and how to pull yourself out of it rather than letting it loose and being destructive and like destroying something that could be really good. Like, other people can destroy relationships, but your issues can also.
And I think the big benefit of therapy is to have like a reframe breakthrough where you recognize something about yourself and you're able to reframe it and go back into it with a better mindset. And I think you've done that with this. I think that you have recognized it about yourself. When you brought it up to me a month or two ago, I feel like I've already seen an improvement of you finding yourself in a moment of this and like, wait, no, that's just my limerence. I've heard you say, that's just my limerence.
And like going through my most recent breakup, something I've had to tell him, I'm like, we are done, and you trying to come back and like whatever, like I have very bad limerence and this is activating that, and it's so unhealthy for me, I can't continue. It just allowed me to be more cut and dry and like remove myself rather than like playing into that person's hand. So now as we're closing down our episode, I do want to share like an insightful plot twist that I've kind of been mentioning throughout our conversation. So basically, I told you about my like rock bottom breakup relationship and how I was like holding a candle for that person for a long time. And like so much time had gone by, it was almost like becoming embarrassing, being like, I've done all the work. Why do I still feel this way for that person? Whatever. You talk about the feeling of the door being left open.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm entering my 3rd year of like no contact with this person. I haven't been following them on socials. I don't really know what they're up to in their life, but I have run into them twice in a 1-week span. Another funny story, I ran into 2 of my ex-boyfriends at one bar in one night, and it was actually one of the best things that happened to me because I realized like how much progress I've made. But ultimately, I ran into this person twice in 1 week, and the first time I was with you, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, we haven't seen each other in a while, and like, he showed up to this bar by himself. Like, he must be single. We're gonna get back together. Marley, are you gonna come to our wedding in June? Like, or, you know, I just, like, caught myself getting so, like, carried away by that. And, like, thank God I figured out that I have limerence because I'm like, oh, great, that activated it.
Yeah. It honestly took, like, an hour or two. Like, she was saying some stuff at the apartment.
Oh,
and
my
then
God.
afterwards, she's like, wait a second.
Literally was not even myself. I literally got so carried away. And this is probably so embarrassing because I'm sure they are going to watch this and whatever, but
no, I think that was like you finally closing the loop for a second of like, wow, okay, and he's showing interest.
I think it was like the worst case of my life, or it was like me getting over all of it and then it just being like shoved back, and I was like
and it was
getting
pulling you
so
back for a
carried
second.
away.
Yeah.
Exactly, I got pulled way back into the fantasy and the hope rather than the reality that I was living in. So then the second time that I ran into him, we actually like had more of a longer conversation, and I told you as I was talking, I was like, damn, I'm not even attracted to you anymore. I don't even really know what, like, the person that I've grown into is like this high value person who owns my own business, who's chasing my dreams. Like, I'm so happy now. And I looked at him and was just like, I don't even know why I was holding on to you for so long, or like who you're presenting as now. Like, I don't really have space for you in my life, and who you are doesn't really serve me. And it's wild how like a few days ago I was like, it's back
Still
on, we're
holding
gonna
on
get together. But then when I actually like went and took like a realistic look at all of this, I was like, I kind of have the ick. I think it's for the best that we broke up, and I can finally put it to rest. And I'm kicking myself just because like limerence allowed me to hold on to that like sentiment and emotion for like years, and I should have put it away in the course of like a couple of months.
I don't know, because I think with limerence, it comes across as more one-sided. You were in a full-fledged relationship with this guy, so that was the heartbreak. I think really that was holding on to for so long.
Was the heartbreak,
you know? But
and
that's what you're holding on to for so long. I think so. I think you should give yourself more grace
back.
Of that. It was the heartbreak that was unresolved that you kept holding on, and it wasn't necessarily just limerence on its own. I think that's just heartbreak without closure often leads to rumination and obsession of what went wrong and what could I have done better.
I can say like the most rewarding part of all of this was just recognizing like how far we have come, or like my own journey, and I've built a life I don't want to escape from and become like, I'm so close to becoming the person I've always wanted to be. Exactly. And it's just wild how like I needed to give myself that reality check a long time ago, and somebody like that would not have a positive addition to the life I built. But back in the day when this girl, me, had nothing, that was everything for me. So the moral of the story is limerence is a real thing. When you realize that you're experiencing it, that helps you make it go away. And ultimately, we need to build good relationships with ourselves and figure out how to source validation from within. Because when you can achieve that, dating is a lot easier, and you don't let other people's actions become like a personal thing for you. So.
Yep. And look for effort. Look for people who are giving you the effort and match that effort.
Exactly. So I think if we can identify low effort men moving forward, and I think there's a difference between a low effort man and a fuckboy.
Yes.
And I think we generalize that there's a lot of fuckboys out there who are, not being real with our relationships.
Fuckboys intentionally fucking with you. Low effort just might mean like they were never taught better.
Yeah, they're not
they don't care.
Exactly.
And
Very
so-
sorry to the men. I know this is like our first episode and we were kind of like ragging on y'all a
I think
lot,
we're that harsh. We
but-
don't mean to be that harsh to men. We
Yeah.
know it's very nuanced, and we aren't expecting this change overnight. We're all just realizing what we want to ask for nowadays and work on it together because we're still attracted to you. You're still attracted to us. For us to make this happen together, we're going to need to edit some things. I'm sure there's some stuff that you've recognized about the woman species recently that you'd like women to work on. So
Yes.
please, in the comments, let's talk about it.
You know,
We're trying
dating is not doomed.
to... Yes.
We do have a bright, shiny future. We can find a happily ever after, but I think we have to master the art of modern dating.
That's the title and the name.
So, this is a very different and new type of podcast because my co-host is very talented musically. And
Yeah.
we've decided...
I can sing. I can't do other things, but...
I'm going to let you explain the rest, but...
Okay, so Missy was trying to create a jingle for us on this AI program. Please don't hate us already. On this AI program
Yes.
called Suno.
Right.
And you can just enter in a prompt that's like a vibe of what you're going for, and you can enter in lyrics. And so we had a lot of fun with it over the winter break. We are not trying to say that we are music producers.
We're not music
We
people.
just had a lot of fun with this AI program. We don't think AI is good. We don't want AI coming to take all the jobs. But
Well, what we would
Okay.
like to do is give you guys like a leave behind or something to take away from these episodes. So we are collaborating and just making a little song. So like this first song that we are going to share at the end of this episode is about limerence because we felt like there was no representation in music for this problem, and I think it's an easy way to spread awareness and help people understand that like you could be experiencing this. This is a tool that we utilized and we hope that it helps, and it's a fun way to make this podcast stand out from other people.
we also used ChatGPT to generate most of the lyrics. We would take ideas or hooks and cover all these topics within it and put it into ChatGPT.
Yes.
So that as well.
really just two girls and we're trying to make dating better. We're
Yes.
trying to get you a music career
Yes.
going. So like we're planning to release Marley's version of them where she actually records them with her vocals, and like we're hoping this can go to a live performance sort of deal where we
That's right.
podcast live, but also Marley can
And then I
perform
gotta
some of
sing,
these,
and that'd be
so-
really cool because I haven't been able to sing as a part of my job ever.
And
Well, since was a
I
kid,
think
but-
there's not a lot of podcasts out there who can offer something like that. So like, run with it for now, guys. We're still in the early stages of this show, and we want to make it just as best we can for you guys and make dating better. I hope you guys can join us for our next episode where we choose to unpack the history of the fuckboy and how that differentiates from low effort men. And we're very excited for you to join us.
Yes, with MasterDaters Podcast.
Yes. So thanks for tuning in. This was a long episode, but we're excited to start this journey with you.
Yes. And without further ado, the first song we're releasing is about limerence, but it's called Heart Eyes, Tell Me Lies.
This is a song about a girl who thought she was in love, but it was something else, something louder, something lonelier. Tell me lies, grow a case, say my name and take your space. One look, one word, one night, I'm already falling for the idea of you. You don't call, you don't stray, but I feel everything anyway. I don't know you, not really, but you live in my head like you do. Her eyes, why do I feel this high? Her eyes, why does it hurt to try? Eyes, some lies, keep me hanging on the maiden side. I feel obsessed, you focus on. Why am I breaking for you indifferent? Eyes, some lies, are cold up with a tear in me alive. I'm chasing you gully bear. Why does this feel so intense, so unfair? I read the signs, I read your tone. I feel chosen when you're on your phone. One move lips when you lick my way. Crashes when you disappear again. I wait for you to go find the thing, while I feel everything. You don't promise, you don't refuse. You just let me stay confused. Eyes, her eyes, my nervous system's on fire. Eyes, her eyes, this isn't love, it's desire. Eyes, tell me lies. You don't say no, you don't say mine. You don't choose me, you don't me. You without consistency, and let that feed on uncertainty. It's limerence, obsession dressed up as romance, a chemical high, not a bond. Let's open mind, I don't need this kind of high. Light is calm, thought is clear, love doesn't disappear. Eyes shutting down, I don't want the spiral now. I have to lose myself to feel seen, and this was never love, it was limerence. So if you feel consumed by someone who gives you nothing, if the fantasy feels stronger than the reality, you're not crazy, you're not broken, you're experiencing limerence. And naming it is how you leave. So if you feel consumed by someone who gives you nothing, if the fantasy feels stronger